Hi, this is Roger. Thanks for dropping by on this dreary Sunday morning. And you know what? It's a pleasure. Right, first off then, a report on Malvern yesterday. My start was 6 o'clock in the morning in the car and off. And 15 minutes later we turned around and came back. Why did we turn around and come back? Because if you're going to a show and you've prepaid tickets, you actually need to take the tickets with you. Duh! I put it down to not enough coffee. Anyway, so back home, tickets, off again. So it lost me half an hour in my journey time, but my allowance for time to get to Hannah's and the time I told her I would be there, a lot of that was made up because the roads were just empty. So we could get a bit of a move on, which I love now and again, rather than sitting looking at the car in front. You know, speed dictated by the one up there. Little boy talking to his daddy. Daddy, why is the slowest car always at the front? Imagine the driving pleasure of being that car. I don't know what you people are on about. All this traffic? What traffic? I don't ever see any traffic when I'm out. Try looking in your mirrors, mate. They're behind you. Anyway, I had a pleasant drive up to Hannah's, and then we set off. New route, totally new route, based on I don't want to use all my fuel up. So shortest distance rather than shortest time. We weren't in a mad panic to get there. All my criteria was, Lynn said she was only going to be there in the morning. So I just, like in my head, I'm thinking I want to get there before Lynn goes home. So that was my criteria. So anyway, we tried the new route out. It was good. And again, nice quiet roads. And normally we would sort of do that and along the motorway and onto the Swindon bypass and round. So you're coming over here when you want to go there. And I found a little shortcut across there. All B roads, all minor roads, but they were well made up roads. So yeah, that was good. Totally blew it coming home, but anyway, so we got off and pulled off at our predetermined place for breakfast, and it's it's nothing flashy, but it's more than adequate, and it's an all-you-can-eat breakfast. So you pay a basic price and just help yourself to whatever you want. And so we had a nice, satisfying meal, cup of tea, coffee, and I was appalled. I was appalled at the behaviour of every single other person in that place. Because when we left, our plates were empty. I saw one person go up and get 4 pieces of toast and they ate half of one of them. I saw people go up for a second plateful and have 2 mouthfuls and leave it all. The wastage in that place was disgraceful. Given the situation in the world at the moment, I was appalled. I actually made a point of going up to the person taking the money at the bar and saying, when you clean our table, you will find the only 2 clean plates in the place. It's just greed. I hate greed. I hate greedy people. And what annoyed me more than anything is the people wasting the most were this wide. And it just annoys me. If you keep pushing it in there without jiggling it around, you will get that wide. It's perfectly simple. I mean, most of us carry a little bit more than we should, perhaps, but you know, without being ridiculous, I didn't think they made jeans that big. Anyway, so we had our breakfast, made our way onto Malvern, and every time I go to Malvern to get to the car park, for the public car park, I follow the signs. And every time I go, I think, they're taking us a different way. This doesn't look right. I'm not happy with this at all. And then we pull into the car park and it's the same car park as before. Mind you, we have had a big gap this time. Coming out is much easier. You just come out of the car park and onto the main road and off you go. But to get to the car park, they take you all around the houses, all around the back. Anyway, it was raining. And I was dressed like this. Just my shirt. So this shirt was bought as a field shirt. It said it's shower proof, so you can just brush off like rain. It's never been tested. It also said if you do happen to get soaking wet, your body heat will dry it in 15 minutes. Both true. Tried and tested. By the time we actually got there, I was wet, very wet. Hannah said, "You're going to get a chill." I said, "No, this will be dry in 15 minutes," and it was. So it works. The only thing I would say is that the temperature dropped a lot yesterday and the wind got up. So being outside, walking about, there is no heat retention in this whatsoever. I just as well have had no shirt on at all. Not a pretty sight. So I was quite chilly outside. We stayed inside most of the time because it rained most of the day. So we didn't really get to see the show as such. We spent most of our time chatting to people in the orchid place. And I have filmed, but I haven't filmed a huge amount. I was obliged, because I was specifically asked, to film the North of England stand because Ed wasn't going, so obviously he'd have filmed it himself. So I have filmed that, and you know, reasonable amount of time on that stand. And in the main, I just went round the orchid societies looking for blooms that I liked, that caught my eye. So I didn't try and film everything, it's just impossible at a show like that. So those video clips I will put together for something tomorrow. So I'll do something for that. And yeah, a good leisurely day. Spent a bit too long on my feet, got a bit of backache today. I'm alright if I stand and move and stand and move, but not just stand. And the trouble is there's quite a lot of just standing, chatting to people. You know, and I keep forgetting, you know, you need to take a step, you need to do that. That's all you need to do, just move. And it works okay. But yeah, met up with some old friends. Quite a few viewers came up and said hello, so there were some people there from, you know, from watching the channel. That was good. Yeah, I'd say a very pleasant day had by all, and yeah, I was pleased. Now you're going to wonder what I came back with, aren't you? Of course. Hannah bought quite a few Phalaenopsis, including a species, which was brave of her, on the grounds that when she first decorated the place where she lives, her flat, she bought mainly white Phalaenopsis to go with the decor, if you see what I mean. They looked best. The proper green of the leaves and the white worked well with the colour she had. She also had some coloured ones, and more coincidence than anything, most of the coloured ones were lost, and she ended up with loads of white Phalaenopsis and nothing else. So she bought a few new ones to just put some colour around the place. And one of the ones she bought, I nearly bought one myself. The colours were stunning. And it's funny, it took us back, including somebody else that was sat on the Wessex stand that I was chatting to. That colour turned up before at a show, and I bought one, Hannah bought one, and this other lady bought one, and within 2 or 3 weeks they all died. Now that lady had the sense to ask for a refund next time she saw the guy. I didn't give it a thought. But yeah, all three of us, all from the same person, all from the same batch obviously. There was something fundamentally wrong with them for all three of us to lose a, you know, mass-produced Phalaenopsis that quickly. Anyway, gorgeous colours, lovely bronzy, orangey colours. Right, what did I get? Well, just a minute, because I forgot to bring it out here. I needed some bark, if you remember, because my small bark, which was bought as medium, but is small bark, I'm nearly out of. I've got like a small amount and some dust in the bag. That's all I've got left. Now I had a count up this morning. Out of the ones we selected to be repotted, some aren't getting done now. So if you take those away, I've got 7 left to do. And not all of them will want a small bark. Some of them will want larger pieces in the main. So I only got a small bag, and Peter White, who I normally get my stuff from, that's Orchid Accessories, the website, he'd sold out first. By Saturday morning, he'd sold all his bark, so he had none left. So he didn't have any, so I thought, well, I wonder if Sarah and Arthur have brought some. They don't normally bring a lot of that sort of stuff when they know Peter White's going to be there. There's no point in two people bringing the same stuff, is there? So I went up to Sarah and I said, have you got any bark? She said, we've got a couple of bags left of the Orchid Focus stuff. I said, is that any good? Because you can't see it, yeah? And she said, quite honestly, it's better quality than the Melcork bark, which is the stuff we buy in bulk and then bag it up ourselves. She said, it's better than that, but it's more expensive and you get less. I said, well, I don't need a lot, so I'll have one of these. I didn't really like what I paid for it, bearing in mind if Peter White had had some, I'd have got 4 times as much for twice the price. Yeah, so effectively half price. The only thing I haven't done is open it to have a look at it. So I'll take the top off and I'll get a handful out and we'll have a look. What I don't want is it all over the floor. Because I've never bought this sort of brand name stuff before. But if Sarah says it's good stuff, then as far as I'm concerned, it's good stuff. You know, it's not worth debating. I've known Sarah for years, she wouldn't do that. And just opening the bag, I'm quite pleased with that. I'll get a handful out and bring it up to the camera. Dirty mitts now. Right, so I can't reach up there. That's not bad. I'm quite happy with that. And it's about the right size as well. It's got a mix of small and medium, so it's virtually replacing what I had before. It does have things like that in it. What's it supposed to do with that? That's a log. It's not even a twig, is it? And that's the bit I could feel on the outside of the bag, and I thought, there's something very strange in this bag. Yeah, there's bits of twig and things like that. But it's okay. It's usable. It appears to be a little bit dusty, but I'm getting used to that lately, having to give stuff a rinse. Right, so those were the goods that I got. I didn't get the pots I wanted, which is, it's this. That's what I can't get. Just can't get that sort of size. Now I don't use a lot of them, but when I want one that size, I want one that size. I don't want to muck about, you know, and just can't get them. So we didn't do that, and I didn't need any other supplies, quite honestly. Right, you want to know what orchids I bought, don't you? Well, first of all, I'll lead you into one of them, because I may have mentioned it before. I can't have shown you it before, but one of the traders I know quite well, Trey Sanders, he also does talks at our Orchid Society. So there's some very strange noises coming from the other side of that fence. I think there's a bear over there or something rummaging around. Not in this country. But yeah, he had a major import coming in February. It was due, and I saw the list and I said to him, if you get a reasonable version of this in your order, can you put it by for me? And he said, yeah, I'll see what I can do, no worries. No emails, nothing written down, just a word, yeah? And next time I saw him, he said, the plants are in, but he said there's quite a few of them need time to settle in and get some roots going. You know, I'm not prepared to sell them as they are. That always goes down with me. You know, when you're offering to hand money over and the guy says no, the plant's not ready to sell yet. We like that. Anyway, so I went up to Trey at the show and I said, is my plant ready? He said, yeah, they're okay now. he said, do you want one in bloom? I said, well, yeah, if you've got one, that would be wonderful. He said, you can have the one on the display if you like. Because what the traders do is they have their table laid out with all their goodies, you know, all their plants and bits and bobs and stuff. And then on the end, they put up a display, which is for judging, like the Orchid Societies do. So I got the one off of the display. They're not supposed to do that. Trey basically said nobody will notice. Right, so that's the first one, and obviously it's in bloom. You may not have heard of this. I had one once, quite a long time ago, before I really knew what I was doing with these types of plants. And so I lost it. I lost it quite quickly. And I was a bit disappointed because it was the only one I'd ever seen for sale, and I've never seen it for sale since, until I saw it on Trey's list. It's not a huge plant, they don't grow huge. It is Dendrobium trigonopus. Why do I like it? If I can get in close enough. Long-lasting blooms, and look at the colour of that lip inside. Look at that green. These are waxy. They almost feel like they're made of plastic. They are absolutely gorgeous. You know I like my yellows anyway. But yeah, they can bloom several times off of the same cane. They can bloom off of leafless canes, well obviously, and canes with leaves on. Now I haven't got any new growths on the plant, but the latest growth, yeah, has got 3 leaves on. So it's got some leaves. And yeah, so that's the blooms. And as far as I'm concerned, I don't know how close this will let me get when I'm hand holding like this, but there we go, Dendrobium trigonopus. And it's a winter rester, and that's why I lost the first one. I didn't really know what I was doing in those days with that sort of plant. Now I do. You know me, or I hope you do. If you don't, you will learn. If that's a winter rester, what's the first thing I'm going to do with it? I'm going to mount it, aren't I? I'm not going to leave it in a pot. It's difficult to control the watering when you can't see what's going on. You put a trickle of water in, thinking it hasn't had any for quite a while, and you could be adding water onto wet media because you can't see. So it'll go on a mount. So that's number one. Well pleased with that. I was expecting just 2 little seedling bulbs or something like that. And price £25 for the only one in bloom. None of the others, he had 2 others there, and they weren't in bloom. So I had the only one that had blooms on. So probably the most mature of the set that he got. And he'd been saving it for me, you know, for a long time. It's last year I asked about that. He has a reputation of being able to get most things if you ask. You might have to wait, but eventually. Now the other one came from Spice Exotic. I went round to say hello, and their display was at the other end, but they had this little bit on the end which was just like one of these wire racks like I've got with mounts on, and I didn't even get, I got to there and I went, hold up. It caught my eye. So there's a story with this one. It's on one of these weird mounts. It's got roots and it's a good sized plant for what you can buy nowadays. You know, that's not bad. This will be another winter rester, but without an extreme rest. So this is one of those that's just drier in winter, basically. It's Dendrobium cignatum, and I've looked at this before. You know, like when I've seen them on eBay and things, and I've sort of thought, oh, I don't know. And then basically I needed this plant looked up, before I was prepared to buy it. And nobody could get a decent signal on their phone, and I thought, I need Lynn. Where's Lynn? So we then spent the next 20 minutes playing Hunt Lynn. She's going round looking for us, we're going round looking for her, and eventually both of us thought, well, the best thing to do is go back to the Wessex base, you know, their display and their little seating area. So we went back there and we met up. Lynn's phone just always has the most marvellous signal. So anyway, I said, can you look this one up for me and see if you can find orchidspecies.co and let me have a read. And it was blah 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 blah, long lasting and fragrant, last words of the paragraph. I said, that's it, I'm having it. So long lasting and fragrant. And I'll get a picture off the internet, I'll scrounge a picture off the internet to show you what the blooms look like. So that is Dendrobium cignatum, and £20 that plant. And again, it's another plant, you don't see that often, doesn't come up often. I wouldn't say it was rare, and if you put your mind to it you could find somebody to sell you one. But it's been grown on from a seedling, you know, we've got seedling bulbs here, gradually getting bigger, and then the latest two leaved canes are a reasonable size. Whether they are as big as they'll ever get, I don't know. That I don't know. But what I do know is both of these are finished growing now. So there's no more growing to do on this. There is a tiny little growth at the base here, but that's not going to grow. That's although it's still got leaves on, that's a seedling bulb. So anyway. So that's my other plant. So 2 new Dendrobiums to add to the list, and both of them will be classed as winter resters in my notes to make sure they don't get overwatered. Now this one that I've just showed you, that's on the mount, yeah? But I want it off of there because there is nothing for these roots. I mean, I've got root tips in places, so there is some actively growing roots at the moment, and they don't stick to this plastic very well, so they're quite easy to take off and put on bark with some moss, yeah, so that when it's in active growth, you know, next spring when we get the new growth and everything, it's in active growth, the moss will help hold some moisture long enough for the plant to hydrate before it dries out overnight, ready for the next day, sort of thing. Typical sort of mount behaviour. So those are my 2 new plants and my new bark. And as I said, I left at 6 o'clock in the morning. I got back at 9:15 in the evening, and I was cream crackered, because the driving you're sitting down, but there is a concentration level required, otherwise you bump into things. And as I said, on the way back, my little diagonal shortcut, I messed that up completely. The road sign showed the slip road with 2 roundabouts, so that's one each side of the dual carriageway with the bridge over the top. So it was perfectly clear what I had to do. So I got to the roundabout, took the second exit and went straight back on the dual carriageway instead of going over the bridge like I should have done. Duh. So that took us the long way round, and unfortunately once I got back on the dual carriageway, the next place I could have got off to turn round and come back was too far gone. You know, I'd have used more miles up coming back to take the shortcut, so we just had to take the long way round. Hannah was sound asleep, so she didn't even know we'd gone that way, I don't think. She goes to sleep very easily in the car, so. But with her job she's permanently tired. You know, she's never fully sort of all bouncing, she just can't be, you know. I mean, she starts work at 4 o'clock in the morning and does 9, sometimes 10-hour shifts 5 days a week, you know, and often works for somebody else on a Saturday as well, so, you know, permanently tired. Plus you know, a sort of heart condition means that she's never fully charged anyway, so yeah, so that's Malvern over and done with. There are no other big shows that I can get to sensibly, because I'm I mean, I'm even thinking now, you know, I like my little field trips to find some native orchids and take some pictures of the butterflies and things. I'm having difficulty in my mind justifying the cost because of the fuel now. You know, a sort of £20 run in the car is now £30. It's half as much again. That fuel is just so expensive at the moment. So I'm not just going places for something to do, not at that sort of price. I can't justify it. So I'm holding on the fuel. I'll use the car as and when I have to. I mean, it's like I need to go to the bank for the Orchid Society. As you know, I'm treasurer. I need to get money into the bank. Well, I'm sitting on money. It's not in the bank, and it should be. I can get the bus. Literally, I've got a bus pass. It's free, and the bus stops at the end of my little road. It's literally 100 yards away, 100 metres ish, and it takes me to the high street. Takes a reasonable amount of time compared with the car, but then when I go in the car, I've got to end up in a car park where I have to pay, and then I've got to walk from the car park to get to the high street. The bus stops in the high street where the bank is. So banking I will be doing on the bus. I'm not taking the car. And that bus also terminates before it turns around and goes back the other way, because it's a little circular route that comes round to the village that I live in. So it is a bus that's been set up for this village, basically. Place where it terminates is a massive supermarket and massive garden centre. So I don't even need to take my car out to do any shopping, should I choose to do so. I've got my little shop here in the village that caters for the sort of things you run out of, like if I need some more of the almond milk that I'm using at the moment, little things, you know. Yeah, I'll be using the bus. It takes longer, but it's free, and that bus is going to do that journey anyway. So me being on it is making it more cost effective, even though although the bus pass means I travel free. That's a concessionary thing, so somebody is paying for those bus passes, if you see what I mean. So the company don't go broke giving loads of free rides. So it's funny, last time I got that bus was when I took my car in for the MOT, and I looked at first of all, there weren't that many people on the bus, and I looked at the age of all the people on the bus, and I thought, nobody on this bus has actually paid. Everybody's having a free ride. But that's what it was set up for. Goodness knows what's going on over there today. Anyway, I'll leave it at that today. I don't know how long that's gone on for, but yeah, I'm pleased with the 2 plants I've got. Hannah was pleased with the plants she bought, and as I say, met up with some friends that I don't see very often. Met up with the traders as usual, get to chat to those. Always chat to your traders, so that when you walk up they recognise you. And yeah, we'll go from there. That's weekend sort of done for me now, because I'm not doing anything out here today, nothing, because we've got no heat now. You know, the temperature's gone back to normal. It's currently 19 in here. Cold. Need to get back in the house, I'll start shivering. Yeah, so need to get started again tomorrow on watering and doing things, and perhaps do some more repotting. But yeah, it was a good day out, a really good day out. Thoroughly enjoyed it, and it will be repeated next year. Obviously, it's an annual show, and yeah, it worked well. They've extended the times. Because it used to be 10 till 5 and it was 8 till 6, so we could actually go even earlier next year. But see, if the weather was good, we'd have spent a lot more time outside looking around some of the other things. It's massive, you know, you'd never see it all in a day. And there's the arena with all the sort of arena sort of performances and things going on, which we didn't see any of really. Standing around in the rain, but the number of people there was down a lot. I think there's still quite a few people worried about getting COVID, but we looked at the arena Now normally there's 2 rows of seats where people have got the front rows so they get a good view of the arena, and 2 or 3 rows of people standing. There was 1 row of people standing with lots of gaps. You could have walked up and stood almost anywhere on the barrier and had a front view. So the number of people was well down. So we'll see how it goes. It seemed a bit thin in the Orchid Hall. It was indoors, so out of the wind and everything, that was good. But without the EU traders, it seemed very thin on the ground. And so we had the UK traders were there. The Orchid Societies had put on displays. Most of the Orchid Societies that I know of were there. I mean, the Scottish Orchid Society were there. That's quite a long way to come, really, down to the Midlands. So yeah, so good day out, and I'll leave it at that, and I'll see you next time. And look forward to my new orchid blooming, which it should do on those canes. And we just have a last look at this one, just to appreciate what I've actually got here, because these blooms are very, very nice. As I said, I've had my eye on this for some considerable time and not being able to get it. The original one came from Orchid Man, the eBay seller from the Netherlands, where I got a lot of my Dendrobiums from there. And of course I can't buy those anymore because they can't come over to the UK. So that seller is removed from me. But that's where the original one came from, and this is now a nice replacement. So try not to lose this one. All good stuff. And I'll see you next time. Thanks for dropping by. Good stuff. I know it's Sunday and I normally do thanks for this and thanks for that and thanks for this and that and the other. You all know that I appreciate your support. I don't need to say it every time, quite honestly, but I do appreciate your support, your comments, the fact that you view, you watch my videos, and the fact that some of you are now joining in with the bonsai channel. It's all appreciated, all of it. So thanks for all of it. Let's do it in one sentence this time. See you next time.